Hello, my name is Allison Dale. I'm currently an aesthetics student at the Aveda Institute in Madison, Wisconsin, and I am on track to graduate in December of 2022. And I am interested in the role of esthetician at a new med spa. Start from the heart. Share a time you were busy with work or school, your plate was just full, and yet you went above and beyond to help someone else. Throughout my entire career, I've always been focused on building the team that I'm working with and interpersonal and communication skills with my team and really earning the respect of my coworkers. And one thing I did was when I decided to leave my position at Terrain due to personal illness and just needing time to go through surgeries and prioritize my physical health so that I could continue to build my career. It was during a busier season, not that any season in retail isn't busy, but it was during a busier season and I had redefined my role at the time. So I wrote up a new role description because I had absorbed a couple of other positions, and I took the time to make a training binder and go through and make tutorials, video tutorials and written out tutorials with pictures of every single task that I did, because I was one of the only ones who knew most of what I did. So I wanted to make sure that my team had as easy a time as possible and as smooth of a transition as possible in the hiring process and in the training process. I stayed on for as long as I physically could to help them transition and was available to answer any questions and to help train any new hires, and scheduled product and event launches for after I had already left. So I kind of worked ahead for about a month after I had left and made sure that all the launches were scheduled, so that during that transition time where my team would be interviewing and hiring a new assistant web merchandiser, that they wouldn't have to worry about the other tasks of my job. Be accountable. Share a time where you have made a mistake and what happened. While working at Kate Spade, we conducted monthly inventory checklists of all the items in the store by SKU. We would basically bring everything out to the main floor and go through each item by SKU, checking off everything that we had, making Excel sheets of how many of each thing we had to report back to corporate, and to see, what was selling the best, and to see if there were any losses that the store had incurred and what we needed to reorder. And during one of those events or inventory checklists, I was inputting all the information, and I realized after I'd already finished everything and gone through and input all the information, that I had forgotten to account for the jewelry that was in backstock, and I had only gone through all of the jewelry that was on the store floor. And we didn't have a lot of jewelry in backstock. It was mostly purses, so it wasn't something that came to the top of my mind. But once I had already finished everything, and realized that I had made that mistake, we did have a deadline, so I went ahead and sent the rest of my team home and stayed after to redo that aspect of the inventory to make sure that we could meet that deadline. And even though it took about 3 or 4 hours to redo that, just because jewelry is smaller and a little bit more tedious than the larger items, I wanted to make sure that that was done, and I knew it was my mistake. I'd had plenty of help to do it, and I took responsibility and accounted for the fact that I had made that mix-up, and it all worked out great in the end, and we met that deadline and we had all our inventory inputted. Bettering our best over the past year. What skills have you been working on? What areas have you been focused on improving or developing? Over the past year, I've taken a lot of time to better myself on a personal level and work on my time management and organizational skills. Organizational skills help me a lot with keeping myself on time and on track, and I can tend to get a little bit worried if I'm in any kind of a rush or disorganized. So I wanted to take time to learn Excel more and all of the Microsoft programs so that I could set myself up for success in the future and be able to add those skills to my resume. And I've seen how it has helped others so much, and I've used Excel a bit in my past, but I really wanted to take time to figure out the functionality and find out what else I could be using it for. And I've also been working on refreshing and building my interpersonal skills. I think the pandemic has been tough on a lot of us because we haven't been able to connect face to face as much. So taking time to like build those skills again by joining meetups and different taking on different volunteer activities just to get face time with other people and keep those interpersonal skills up. I've also been working on my creativity. Art is something I really loved when I was younger, and I haven't been taking the time to do it up until the pandemic when I had a bit more time. So I've been writing, which I really enjoy, drawing, and I love creating new recipes and cooking. So I've been working on those skills, and I feel like doing what I love creatively has helped me a lot in my career in the past with creative thinking and problem solving. So I wanted to keep those skills sharp. Mutual respect. Share a time when you joined a new team. What was the experience like, and how did you gain the respect of your team members? For me, I really consider myself a people person, so I love working with others and I love getting the chance to learn about others' roles. So when I joined the team at Terrain, I was one of the youngest members, and I kind of felt like I needed to prove myself and I wanted to earn everyone's respect. So I went around and I introduced myself to everyone and got to know everyone a little bit, and also like went into depth and learned all of their roles so that I could work with them if they ever needed help, and I could be someone that they could turn to when they had any issues. We're running behind on deadlines and we could work together to find a solution. I don't consider myself someone who just does what's within my job description and then clocks out for the day or leaves for the day. I want to meet deadlines and reach goals with my team and together, and work together towards a common goal. And I feel like showing my work ethic and that I could learn quickly and work efficiently gain the respect of my team members, and I love to still keep in touch with some of them today. Transparency, high potential. Tell me about a time that you questioned a process or the way something was done and how you handled it. How did you address this? In my position as a merchandising intern at Anthropology, I noticed that the placement of beauty products online and positioning was driven mostly by the aesthetic preferences of the people on the merchandising team, instead of driven by the sales data on what the top sellers were and what categories people were searching the most, and what products really went together and what was more of a set. So I personally went through 3 months worth of data on each category and each product, and figured out which products were like the best sellers and which ones were often purchased together and what those top search terms were, so that I could merchandise by popularity and categories. So after a month of implementing my new plan, I presented the results to my team, and I had achieved a marked increase in net sales in the beauty products and higher selling in all categories. So with the approval of my team to start merchandising this way, and they had allowed me to kind of do this as a personal project, not something that was part of my internship, but something that I felt passionate about trying, and they were open to my methods after I presented like what I had found out about what products were selling best, and presented a new like idea for merchandising. They allowed me to kind of conduct a experiment for a month on how that merchandising affected selling, and it it created increases in selling and drove products in new categories. And we started selling some of the products that hadn't been getting as many results based on like attributing products differently, so that customers could find them more easily, and that everything still looked nice aesthetically, but products that we knew were big drivers were merchandised toward the top and were easily located, so customers would have an easier time accessing them. So I think that's probably the time when I noticed something that I didn't necessarily think was the best way of doing something, and I wanted to show that there was another option and that it wasn't just my opinion, but I could back it up with real results. Closing review. List 3 qualities that make you stand out as a candidate and give detail on how they can contact you and thank them for their time. So 3 qualities that I feel like make me stand out are my flexibility, my communication skills, and my strong work ethic. And I feel like flexibility and strong work ethic kind of go together, but in terms of flexibility, I'm really open to learning anything new that I can, and not just working inside of my job description, but always helping out in other areas where I can, and going with the flow. And I can learn on the job and learn quickly and adapt to new situations easily. So I feel like I'm always open to whatever my position needs and whatever I can do to help and reach for the success of who I am working for. In terms of my work ethic, I have always been a hard worker. I care greatly about the opinion of everyone I work around, and I've always respected everyone I work around, and I feel like the best way that I can show respect is by working hard and doing my job well. And that's something I've always done. I've always been praised by my coworkers and my superiors for my work ethic, and I'm always the one who stays later or helps others when I'm done with my own work. And that's, I really feel like that's part of being a team and working towards a common goal. But it is something that I pride myself on. If there's one thing I'm not, it's lazy. And I've always worked hard at every position I've had, whether it be a corporate position or a customer service position. I just generally enjoy work, and I love, I feel like working hard and being a strong worker makes me feel better about myself, and it creates a better environment with my team as well. And then I feel like my communication skills are also one of my strengths and something that makes me stand out. I can communicate effectively, and I'm always empathetic to others. I know how to communicate in a way that, sometimes in work things can be a little bit tricky to communicate, and I feel like I can easily learn about the communication style that others can learn from the most or are most receptive to, and I can communicate that way and communicate on an individual level. I can recognize if someone learns better or is more attentive or receives something better via email or phrasing a certain way, or needs more reminders, and that's how I try to communicate with them. It's never just I have one communication style, it's I adapt my communication style to who I'm working with. And in terms of if you would like to get a hold of me, the best way to do so is by phone at country code 1, area code 321-684-1936, or my email is aldale1992@gmail.com. You can also get a hold of me through my LinkedIn or through my Instagram. I think I have a professional Instagram that's at skinritual_ by Allison, and you can find me on my LinkedIn at Allison Dale. I want to thank you for your time today and taking the time to interview me and considering me for this role. I love a new med spa, and I've been a loyal customer for a while now, and it's somewhere that stood out to me when I moved here, I love finding kind of like my town spot and really building a relationship with them. And I've never done it in terms of building a professional relationship, but I would really love to do so. And I feel like Anu would be the best fit for me. So thanks again for your consideration, and I hope to hear from you soon.